So Darren, tell me, how do you pay your bills?
Well, there are these amazing modern electronic ways of doing that, Jeff. You can do things through your bank, and it's so convenient. You can do it from your phone, from your computer. It's wonderful.
Well, there's an uptick in stolen checks
Wait,
from,
checks.
well,
So what
now
are we? Is this the 19th century? You mean
don't
people
pounce
write?
too hard. I still have a checkbook. Don't
You have a
pounce too hard on the
checkbook? You
checkers.
balance your checkbook, Jeff, every.
I
Oh, for
have
goodness
for
sake!
decades. And
Oh
I will say
man.
I only write probably less than 5 checks a month because, like you said, I everything else is pretty much automated.
Well, so you write a check
Um,
to the Columbia cassette tape people when they send you your monthly
yeah, because
cassette
I
for
can't get
music,
out of
right?
that contract. I mean, they just won't. I've emailed, I've called, they won't let me out. They keep sending me these damn things. I don't even have a cassette player
The
anymore.
Columbia Cassette of the Month Club is still on your tail, and it
Right.
started in college.
My tape deck broke about 50 years ago, and haven't been able to replace it. But the tapes keep coming.
Someone was asking me recently, "Hey, can you help my friend? I've got some music, and I'd like to put it on a CD for my friend." And I tried to let him know, no CDs, no, we don't do that anymore. We don't do CDs anymore. And then my girlfriend said, "Well, I have a CD player." Oh, okay, honey. All right, all right. Some
We
people
still
still.
have a DVD player, which
Oh.
for the the collection of DVDs we have. But
But what are people doing with checks, Jeff? This is
well, all right.
crazy.
So yeah, and this is actually people should know this because my mom used to do this all the time, and I thought she was just being too paranoid about stuff. And it turns out that mother knows best. So most post offices you have the drive through. You just drop off your mail, never get out of your car.
Yeah.
And so she would never do that. Well, she would pay her bills. And then if I took the bills to the post office, she would make me take them into the post office. And I'm like, why? We have a drive through. And she's like, nope, people can get to those. She's like, I've read that people get, and she's 100% right. So
Wow.
what's happening is, you mail your checks or whatever.
Yeah.
And, nefarious individuals then come and I don't know if they stick their hand down the mail opening or have keys to get into the box.
Or
Then
they
they
have like
take
a
out
long string with bubble gum on it.
with bubble gum. And then
That's what kids do.
they fish out mail that has bills that you're paying with a check,
Yeah.
and then they proceed to wash the check. And then this one post I read, the lady wrote like a $17.95 check to something, and then the check was cashed for $1,700
Wow.
because the criminals, they wash the checks, they write in their own stuff, and
See, now
I mean,
I'm curious about the check washing industry. I mean, you've heard about money laundering. This is a different thing entirely. But there's probably there's certain kinds of ink you could probably erase with like acetate or like fingernail polish remover or something like that. That's probably what they do. But I mean, washing a check, carefully washing off, get a job. If you're going to do the kind of work it takes to wash a check, how about using that same industrious spirit to get a damn job?
right, maybe pursue a career in graphic arts or something.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
can't
for
we
crying out
contribute to
loud.
society? Why do we have to be stealing checks?
Well, this is just one more reason not to have a checkbook, Jeff. So you should.
Well,
I'm urging you to burn your checkbook and
very few checks, very, very few. I think the only couple that I still write have to do with like stuff that I owe the municipality. I always write the check.
stuff you owe elderly people that take checks.
That's right. But pursuant today's episode, which is about stuff that doesn't belong to you and people taking it,
Yeah.
do you ever order groceries and have them delivered?
Never. I do not do that.
All right. Well, we have an interesting story today, which is a twist on porch pirates. What happens when your neighbor is taking your stuff, but it's delivered to their house?
That's crazy stuff. I'd like to hear more about that.
On today's episode.
Dirty deeds, triggered tirades, busybodies, and missing cats. They say tall fences make good neighbors, but bad neighbors make the Right Next Door podcast.
So the twist on this today is what happens when your stuff is delivered to the next door neighbor,
Yeah.
and then the next door neighbor takes it and is shocked that you want it back.
Well,
So
and so
crazy.
if it's a neighbor, they're in the building next door. Maybe you even know them. You might know their names, and you go over there. You knock on the door and say, "Hey, did my stuff come over here?" Like Amazon will show you a picture of your stuff sitting on the front step, so you know whose step it is. You know what the door looks like. Wait a minute, that's Roger and Nancy's place right next door. Hey, Roger and Nancy. So it was something like that. So right next door.
Right next door. So the thread that I read was that somebody, apparently this has happened more than once. So on one or two other occasions, for whatever reason, the grocery delivery company delivered the stuff next door. And the neighbor just went over and said, "Hey, is my stuff here?" And they gave it back.
How much stuff?
Well, in the post that we're talking about today, $1,000 worth of groceries.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Because they were having like family or something come over. So they order $1,000 worth of groceries that, she gets a notification on her phone that it's delivered. She looks outside, no groceries. So she goes to the next door neighbor where they've delivered the groceries incorrectly a couple other times. And the neighbor's response was like, "Oh, well, we saw those groceries on our front porch, didn't know how long they were sitting out, so we put them all in our pantry and our refrigerator," and then proceeded to ask, "Do you want it back?"
Whoa.
She's like, "Yeah, it's $1,000 worth of groceries. I want it back."
Well, maybe those poor people, they were hungry. Their stomachs were grumbling, Jeff. They saw all that food and they said, "Oh, we've been gifted this bounty by accident, but we're starving, and so we need to eat something." So I wonder, they probably wouldn't mind if we something like that, right?
Unfortunately, no. Apparently, these are two highly paid professionals that drive sports cars.
Oh,
and I won't say the profession, but they're in an entrusted public position.
Oh, dear.
And I'm like, what? So
Yeah.
I mean, how do you coexist with somebody like that? That's kind of crazy.
So you get my Amazon package, and it's in my case like an expensive microphone or a mic stand or computer widget or something like that. Do you really need it? How often do you, if it's food, if it's custom chosen food, like it takes trouble to shop. It takes trouble to go through and pick items. You're talking about $1,000. That's like they're feeding family, or there's a family reunion, or there's a party or something like that. So they really went to some trouble to procure this food. And
Right.
so what the hell?
Yeah, they had to know with the amount of bags and groceries that came. I will say though, for like the Amazon stuff, you ever watch this guy that builds the glitter and stink bombs on
yes,
YouTube?
yes.
I totally cheer for that guy because you got these just complete miscreants that are like stealing stuff, and then they open it up and it explodes with glitter and fart
You
bombs.
should find
in their
those. Those are a lot of fun.
Yeah, I
those glitter
can't think of the
bomb people.
guy's name, but those are really funny.
Well, that's what they should do. Maybe that's what the food people should do. So order a bunch of food, because you say this happened more than one time with these same neighbors. Order 75 pounds of Limburger cheese and have it delivered.
Just be like, "No, we don't want it back." Right? You can keep it.
Or something really something smelly or embarrassing or something. Yeah, go ahead. Maybe they'll finally be chastened to not do this kind of thing again. That's really
It's terrible. But fun fact, because this happened to us, where I got a package. It was a pair of socks, like literally like a $6 pair of socks. My address, different person's name.
huh.
So I'm like, that's weird. So didn't think anything of it. I was just gonna try to look up the person's name, and if I couldn't find it, I was gonna call the company that sent it. Next day, I get another package with some what do you call that? Like power milk, that muscle builders drink.
Yeah.
So it's some specially formulated bag of muscle milk from another company. My address, different person's name. So I'm like, okay, that's lightning striking twice. Something is afoot.
Yeah.
So I called the sock guy, who's just a young startup, and I said, "Hey, you might want to check this order because there's some sort of fraud going on." And so he ran the order, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this is like some fraud thing." So I'm like, "You want me to send the socks back?" And he's like, "No, enjoy the socks." So I do the same thing with the company that sent me this muscle milk.
Yeah.
And I said, look, you probably want to check this order. You mailed it to my house. This person doesn't exist. You're probably getting scanned. It's some sort of credit card scam or something that they're testing.
Yeah.
And they're like, you can have the muscle milk. I'm like, I'm just throwing it away. I don't know what's in this bag. I don't want to know what's in the bag. I'm just throwing it away.
Jeff, there are these different times, these different moments in our lives when things could go one way or the other. We could have taken this job. We could have married that girl or the other girl. This could have been the moment when you could change your life forever, become the muscle-bound behemoth that you've meant to be all along. You could have bulked up. It could have really, really changed your entire workout situation, your health, this could have been the moment, Jeff.
Overnight, I could have been transformed into Randy Macho Man Savage.
See, the next time you're at the beach and that bully kicks sand in your face, remember, you had the opportunity to turn into Charles Atlas and turn into a more muscle-bound, tough guy version of yourself, and you turned down that opportunity, Jeff.
I did, because I didn't want to die, but I did call the police department. They have a fraud department, so I called them up and I explained what was happening. And the detective said to me, she said, well, they were probably gauging your address, because if the stuff, if the package gets delivered, there's normally like a car going, they're getting the notification that the package is delivered.
Yeah.
So they deliver it to your house. They get the notification, and if it's still sitting on the porch, car comes by, they grab the package and go. And so she said that was happening a lot, particularly with like iPhone orders.
Huh.
And she told me what happens is people get into trouble because iPhone comes to their house. They open it and they're like, my address, my iPhone.
Uh-huh.
And then they go to register the iPhone, and then they get, it's against the law to keep something that comes to your house that doesn't belong to you. Even if it came to your house, you can't keep it.
Well, Jeff, this is an important distinction. This is a very, very valuable thing for us to discuss on the Right Next Door podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, if something comes to your house that you did not order, we're here to tell you, do not keep it. Don't just think, well, it's my address.
Right.
I mean, it's just not, there's no free lunch. If you find a beautiful dog, you find a bag of money on the sidewalk, be that good citizen that gets to the bottom of it and don't just start up with new toys.
I think we came up in the finders keepers era, but even if it's your address, that does not. I mean, they're not going to come after you for a $6 pair of socks, but if you got $1,000 iPhone that's been scammed, somebody's coming for it.
Well, back in the day, Jeff, you didn't give the other part of that equation. Finders keepers. Losers
weepers.
Yeah,
right.
Back then. So if you lost it, that's just on you. So in the modern world, if your thing was delivered to the wrong address, oh well, losers weepers. But no, losers weepers is not currently a modern thing anymore.
Right. Well, and like I felt bad for the sock guy, because he was obviously getting scammed over something, and he's just like a little startup. So, I mean, it was pretty easy to find. I just Googled the company name, called the dude up, and
Well,
so it was pretty
I'm
easy.
curious. We all want to know, how are the socks?
They're actually very nice socks. I only have one pair, and I can't even tell you the name of the company. But
so you didn't go buy more socks from that same little company?
I'm not a big sock guy. I'm sockless all summer long, and then
really?
I wear I rotate 6 pairs of wool socks from Costco in my boots during the winter, and that's about the extent of my sock needs. So this is like the one pair of dress socks that if I ever wear, get dressed up, which is after COVID rarely.
See, on the other hand, I'm a big sock guy.
Are you?
I have dozens of pairs of socks, and I am never ever barefoot.
I am barefooted as we speak.
Oh, for goodness sake!
I'm
wearing sandals.
I used to come back from California in winter with wearing no socks. And my mom would be like, "There's snow on the ground. You better put on socks." I'm like, "Nah, I didn't bring any." So it's just like I don't like them. I don't like putting them on. They make your feet sweaty.
I'm not wearing socks now. I usually wear socks, but I just took a delivery of my first pair of Birkenstocks. I've never owned Birkenstocks.
Pair.
I've never ever owned Birkenstocks before, and I thought, these have been around for 7,500 years. I think.
Wait, let me see them. Hold them up. I've been wearing Birkies for decades.
Cavemen. I think cavemen started the Birkenstock trend.
Oh yeah, that's the Arizona.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you know your Birkenstocks.
Yeah, I don't think I have my Berkeys under my desk here, but
Wow.
yeah, that's the Arizona. That my I bought a pair of those on my honeymoon.
We're talking about pets on another podcast. What if somebody else's cat comes to your door? Do you keep the cat? Do you look for the owner of the cat?
I do not keep the cat. No way.
No,
But
no.
and I don't think cats wear name tags like dogs. So I don't. You'd have to just be like, be on your way, little kitty. I don't.
I
You
have
know.
heard of people like really going out of their way. Well, let me find a home for. I'm going to really, really try to find a home for this cat or this dog, and people really put the signs up around the neighborhood. And
Yeah. Well, that does happen quite a bit, but I don't know. I mean, that's a lot of work, and you got to bring the cat in. It's somebody's like poor pet that they're posting cat missing help. So doesn't the cat eventually find its way back home? I don't know.
it's not like
You
the
know?
Disney. It's not like Jeff, dear sweet
Finding
Jeff.
Nemo,
Like,
it's
no,
not.
it's not like Walt Disney, Jeff. They don't trudge thousands of miles back to their home. I don't think that doesn't really actually that does happen sometimes, but I think it's more the exception than
Probably more with dogs than cats, I would think, because they're pretty attuned at getting back home. But the one thing I did want to ask you though about this whole grocery topic, do you? I mean, I always go to the grocery store. My wife goes to the grocery store. I mean, I understand people, if you're homebound or whatever, you got to have your groceries delivered.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people just do it out of, the same premise of having, I guess, McDonald's delivered to your house. You can't get up off the couch, and so I mean, would you want other people handling your food
No, my produce. I actually, when I had COVID, I've had COVID one time, and I did have food delivery twice at that time. And it was problematic. They would run out of things, and you could substitute, but it was really kind of a pain in the neck. It was when there was a lot of snow on the ground, and I was staying here at my home studio, and my girlfriend was at where we usually live in a different part of town, and I was just this lonely bachelor here, and so they'd have to go around and around just for me to kind of meet up with them on my snow-covered, snow-blocked street. It was just really a pain in the ass. So I don't do any grocery delivery outside of that one time when I was ill. No grocery delivery. I want to go to the grocery store. I want to handle my own produce. I want to fondle my own peaches.
I agree with that assessment. And when you're picking out meat, I mean, come on, you want to pick out the exact cut of meat you want. And I just don't want some guy like ripping stuff off a shelf that doesn't care.
His big meaty hands ripping, touching my lettuce, my tender lettuce.
I did have a relative who's retired now that used to be a health inspector. And he said, if you knew what went on in 99% of restaurants, you'd never eat out again.
Oh my gosh.
And so I'm I'm very selective with even going out to restaurants because.
And I don't do those. Those meal kits are a big thing. And I tried that once, maybe twice, where it's like the meal kits where they give you all the stuff already chopped up, and you just have to cook it. And I don't do that either. I tried that once or twice. It was a big pain in the neck. Plus, it comes in this box with all this gel-like refrigerant. So what's going to happen? What's going to happen to all that stuff when you pour it into the landfill?
Yeah, See, I thought you were talking about one of those diet programs. The reason people lose weight on those because they send you the food and your lunch is like an apple and a stick of cheese. Of course, I'm going to lose weight if I'm eating an apple and a stick of cheese for $60 a day.
It was delivered. I guess I'll just have to lose weight. I did pay for it. I guess I'll have to starve.
That's right. I guess gonna have to eat my apple and stick of cheese. But
I'm proud of myself. I do shopping. I've been doing a lot more cooking in recent years, and I'm really proud of the actual meals and dishes I've been able to concoct. And so we don't eat out in restaurants very often. We cook at home and save money, and it's kind of nice.
It's nice cooking. I do the same thing. I watch a lot of cooking shows and that, but I don't. The younger generation, even with this,
the younger generation, they don't need.
But it's not. It's like, hello, McDonald's, send me a Big Mac and 2 fries. I'm like, is it the McDonald's like a half a mile away? Go get it. Like, what is
delivering
the issue?
fast food? Delivering fast food is delivering Wendy's or Taco Bell. Oh, you poor. What as my father would say, when I'd say, well, hey, can I have a Coke? And he'd say, what is your leg broken? It's just like, go get it.
Yeah, get it. I know. We don't even do pizza delivery anymore because by the time the pizza comes, after if you're sixth on the run, your pizza's cold. So I even go just pick up my own pizza now.
No, I got pizza. I had a friend over. We were watching a movie, and I got Lou Malnati's thin crust pizza delivered to my door here in Chicago. And if you're listening to other places around the country, Chicago has some very good pizza. And my favorite thick pizza is a pizza called Pequod's, and my favorite thin crust is Lou Malnati's terrific thin crust pizza. And
did you get the butter crust or the regular?
I got the regular. I had them cut it. I got just a pepperoni pizza, and I like to add, and I give this as a tip to our listeners, add the fresh garlic as an option. So you get a pepperoni pizza and have them add fresh garlic. OMG, it's great. Yeah.
See, I love that butter crust. I always ordered the butter crust one. I love that. You ordered the super thin one, right? Because they have a super thin, and then they have a little bit thicker, like pan.
I think I have just a regular thin. I didn't know about the super thin.
Well, yeah, but if you want butter crust, you got to be specific because they've got them both, and they're both very, very good.
Well, I'll tell you, Jeff, if I see Lou Malnati's pizza on somebody else's front porch, I'm gonna walk right over there. I'm gonna pick it up. I'm gonna carry it home. Or have it delivered to somebody else's address and then go get it and maybe somehow get them to pay for it. There's got to be some scam to get me more pizza, Jeff. That's all there is to it.
That would be interesting. Oh, Lou, my pizza didn't arrive. Oh, it's next door. Hey, where's half my pizza? I was hungry.
I was hungry.
I didn't want it to go cold. Yeah, and there was a cat circling.
I was gonna take a trip around the block in my sports car, and I wanted some pizza for the journey. And yeah.
That's right. So, moral of the episode: if you get something that doesn't belong to you, please, for the love of Pete, do the right thing and give it back.
Give it back. It's not yours.
Not yours to keep.
You have a neighbor who's driving you crazy. Tell us about it. rightnextdoorpodcast@gmail.com. The Right Next Door podcast is an unscripted production of Eversharp Media, which takes a satirical look at local news coverage and social media. The material, views, and opinions expressed are not necessarily those of the talent, guests, or the production company. Celebrity voices impersonated, including this one.